What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the A7E podcast. This is your host, Jiggadrin. Guys, today we are filming episode 37, I believe, and it was a episode. It was a long time coming from this episode, but we wanted to definitely take advantage of currently the situation at the moment. As many of you know, I have became a father within the last 2 months, a little over 2 months. And I kind of wanted to take advantage of that and do an episode on essentially, the journey of the pregnancy and the journey, from the mother's perspective and the father's perspective as well, and just kind of have a little bit of fun today. So today I have the surrogate of my child. No, I do have the mother of my child. It's Ileana Martell. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So first things first, just to kind of do a quick icebreaker. Have you ever done a podcast before?
I've never done a podcast
That's
before.
a lie. You've already done a podcast with me.
It was a practice one.
We've done a practice episode in the past. It's not currently listed on my YouTube, but because you wanted me to remove it.
That's right.
I fought tooth and nail to keep it up. She sent in some lawyers. She's like, she didn't sign a waiver. So I had to get that removed. So it's not on there. Many of you did see it, though. But this is the real one, okay? This is the real one. And make sure, remember to, if you're comfortable, you're good, all right? Still kind of getting the hang of the whole microphone thing. So officially, you've never done a podcast before. How do you feel right now?
I feel good.
Feel fine.
I feel fine.
No biggie. Okay, good. How do you feel overall, right? We're 2 months in or 2 months out, however you want to call it, after delivery. How do you currently feel now physically compared to, I guess, when you were in the hospital bed and maybe a couple of days after?
I feel better. Like probably at 100%.
Oh, really?
I don't feel like I look at 100%, but I feel 100%. Especially compared to when I first got out. There's been a big change.
Yeah. I know that obviously, let's say compared to before you got pregnant, right? Let's say in the last year of like November and anything before that, right? You were consistently going to the gym. I say you were pretty on point, like with your meals or whatever. In comparison to that,
I don't think I'm. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel exactly like how I felt before I was pregnant.
Yeah, and
there's a big difference.
Yeah,
But I still feel better compared to when I got out of the hospital.
And that's heavily assumed, right? And that's kind of why I ask. I know, obviously, you're barely 2 months out. You've only been going to the gym. What are you, like 3 weeks now? 4 weeks since you started going again?
Yeah.
And obviously, you're not going to be able to compare that after taking, officially a month off. But you were also going to the gym, in your last month of pregnancy. But you're going very light.
I got sick right before I got pregnant.
You also got sick as well.
2 weeks.
That's right. So obviously, you lost a lot of gains there, essentially, and it's normal. So that's why I ask. I kind of wanted to see, is it a drastic change, or you say you feel 100%, which is very good. I didn't even expect that, to be honest, for you to say 100%, but that's good. So let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about, the journey of while you were pregnant, right? What were some differences for you that stood out as a first-time mom, of your, I guess, emotional states, like physical states before you got pregnant compared to while you were pregnant for the 9 months? What do you think was like the biggest thing that stuck out to you?
My belly, my weight.
Oh, literally your belly stuck out the most? Yeah.
Waking up in the middle of the night. I don't know how many times to go to the bathroom. This is the biggest one. I don't feel like it affected my hunger, my appetite, as much as people said. When you're pregnant, most people say that you have to eat a lot, or you're
or you want to eat more.
You're more hungry. I don't feel like it changed my appetite. I was still eating the same.
Okay, that's actually.
And cravings too. I didn't really get crazy cravings. I think the most that I had was like ice cream. ice cream sandwiches
Yeah, I would say out of the order.
and strawberries.
Yeah,
Strawberries, bananas, and ice cream.
out of the ordinary, I would definitely say that it would fall into the ice cream and strawberries. You know, there was at one point fruit. Eh, before you would eat it. You know, fair
Oh,
amounts.
and then there was one time where I was craving strawberry Jello.
Yeah, that
Jello.
that
I've
was
never
weird.
had Jello before. That was a weird craving, I guess.
That was weird. But maybe it was just like the strawberry.
Maybe.
You were pretty good, and I say that also in comparison to the stories that I've heard where women just like go crazy over weird cravings and their stuff in their face. What?
Well, at the beginning, when I first found out I was pregnant, I was really, really craving McDonald's.
Did you eat McDonald's?
Yes, we ate McDonald's.
Did you by yourself without my affiliation eat it? That's weird. I didn't remember that.
No, we ate it, and we ate a lot of it to the point where I got sick.
We didn't eat a lot of
I
McDonald's.
did.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I
A lot of
did
nuggets.
eat like maybe like twice during the pregnancy. Outside of that, I would, you go get your own. Now I'd go to a different fast food, but it wasn't McDonald's. McDonald's is typically the last on my list. Last resort. If every other restaurant in the world burned down simultaneously, I'd probably go to McDonald's. Yeah. Although you did pretty good though with eating for the most part. There were times that you'd ask me for stuff, I'd tell you no. In all fairness, hey, I was like no, you need to relax. Like, I get you're pregnant, but you also want to be aware that everything, the excess amount that you're eating now is going to be left over after you give birth, right? Now I don't know if you ever took that in consideration, considering you hard, you know what I mean? But I think you did well for the most part. You had your cravings, you had it. So, you did mention that obviously one of the things that stuck out the most was your belly, literally. Was that what you expected? Like belly size, belly feeling? I don't know. Did you think it was gonna be bigger, smaller? I mean,
It
to be
was
fair, like
Pretty much what I expected.
how tall are you?
5'2".
You're
and a
5'2",
half.
so you're essentially fairly petite. So, did you think you were gonna have a bigger belly or smaller?
I think it was just exactly what I thought.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
But yeah. Okay.
it looked good on you. It was very proportionate. Not that any belly looks bad, but sometimes you'll have a petite girl with an enormous belly, or you'll have a taller girl with a much smaller belly. And I think yours was, pretty good size. Now,
I think I ended up gaining a little over 30 pounds
overall, wait, is that with the baby or without?
with the baby. So I was 130 before I was pregnant. And then I was about 163, 164 after.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was my weight
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
before she came.
How did you feel at your heaviest? Did you feel heavy?
I did feel very, very heavy. My legs were swollen. My feet were swollen. My toes were swollen.
Yeah, you had.
I went up 3 shoe sizes, I think it was, or 2 shoe sizes. I'm normally a 6, and I think I went up to what do you remember? 9.5?
Yeah, it was like
or
9,
a 9.
something like that.
It was crazy. So I ended up having to buy a pair of shoes, size 9.
Yeah, that was her excuse for a new pair of shoes.
Now I'm never gonna wear them again.
Yeah, that's right.
My feet shrunk back to their original size, even though people told me that they were gonna stay big, and I read a lot that most people that where their feet get super big, that they don't go back. But mine thankfully went back because I had a lot of shoes.
Yeah, that is true. You would have to have gotten rid of them.
Yeah.
Or you could have waited, for your baby to grow up. No. So you had a tremendous amount of swelling on your legs, ankles, and feet. You were still going to the gym with that.
I was.
And that was crazy, honestly. Sometimes I would look at your ankle area specifically, and come from sports, so I've seen a lot of ankle injuries when they swell like 4 times their size, and it looked like you sprained your ankle every day, and you'd get that swelling. Obviously that made it difficult to walk, or did it? Was it painful, or was it just?
It was just uncomfortable.
All right. And it never went down
It
essentially until
didn't go
now.
down, and I didn't get swelling the whole time until the third trimester, towards the end.
Okay.
And then it didn't stop. It didn't go down at all. Even if I avoided salts, sodium, it was still, I was pretty still swollen.
Yeah. No, I know. And that was pretty intense. Now essentially we're in. Were there some things in the back of your head that maybe you were worried about?
I was worried
Because
about.
one thing that I didn't like that you did, I'm sure it's normal amongst all of the women there, out there that get pregnant, even for the first time or even second or third, they start looking things up to try to get as familiar as possible with what to expect. But in that process, they also come across a lot of things that can be scary. And I feel like you sometimes fill your head with the concerns and worries more than you do with the good things to expect. And you would speak about those concerns a lot, and it would bother me, honestly. I'm really huge on what you think about, or you speak about the most is what can potentially happen the most. So I would worry that, right? I would worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the things that you were, concerned about through the process?
I was concerned about my baby's health. I was concerned about possibly something going wrong with it, with giving birth, or something going wrong before I give birth. I was very worried about that, and I would just constantly see these TikToks of these babies, stillborns, and just things going wrong, and I was getting very paranoid.
Yeah, no, I know. And I'm sure a lot of emotional.
Did I say C-section? I was
You
scared
didn't
of.
say.
I was scared of having a C-section too. Something going wrong and possibly having to go through a C-section. Just,
Yeah.
I don't know, an emergency C-section.
Yeah. So my mom, I was able to. You know what, guys? We're gonna bring in a special guest today. Like I said, we're 2 months in. I typically been having listeners behind the camera, and we have one today. But I want to bring her on camera, right? Introduce her to everybody. So let me see if I can pause. Or you gonna get her?
I can get her.
Yeah. You go ahead and I'll keep talking. Careful with the headset. Take off headset. Yeah. All right. If you want to risk it. Okay. So if you don't know, our baby's name is Khalila Malia Elicerio. And we can speak a little bit about how we came across the name. But we have her here. We wanted to bring her on camera, as our first podcast episode ever. It's got to be with her dad. Maybe one day she can help co-host when she's a little older. She was just asleep in the car seat. By the way, I've been seeing a lot of videos on TikTok about car seat hazards, guys. Okay, if you have a new baby or whatever, be super careful of the car seat. If you're not in the car, try not to leave your baby in the car seat, because apparently a lot of deaths have happened that way. And also, typically, if you keep them in the car seat too long, their legs can grow differently, because obviously their body is still developing. So this is Khalila. Hi, my love.
Hey guys.
Hello. Papi, what's this here? Where's my microphone at? So this is my daughter. This is our daughter.
Yes.
Okay, relax. I like to, I'm a little possessive over her. She is officially 2 months and
A little over 2.
A little over 2 months. And this, honestly, and this is my perspective. Okay, you're free to share yours. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. A lot of people would talk about, like, when I would talk to people with babies or kids, and they're like, "Oh, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." And even my mom would say that about her sons, me and my 2 brothers. You'll never understand. And I felt like they were trying to describe an emotion that I've already experienced before, and they didn't believe me. But honestly, like, having Khalila and being able to just, like, see her and, like, be with her is honestly an emotion that you really cannot describe. And the crazy part is, it's like an emotion that's almost automatic, in a sense that that baby has essentially done nothing. If you really want to think about it, that baby has done nothing for you to feel this way about her or about it. And yet that's how I feel. Right. So I think, to this very day, it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened. And I've never been happier. But she's chugging along. We can talk a little bit about why, when you were in the hospital, some of the things that, we were concerned about, some of the problems that, came about. And then once delivery hit as well, we can talk about that process. But before we do that, how do you feel? I can't even take my eyes off her. I'm like, I'm freaking out because I want to make sure, like, you're not going to.
He always thinks I'm going to drop her.
Not that you're going to drop her. I just feel like she can be very powerful sometimes, Like she's smiling. Like, yeah. And she's not going to drop me, Bobby. It's okay.
It's hands down the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Hands down?
Hands down.
Hands
without a
down,
doubt.
Honestly.
The best thing, just, I don't know. I didn't know how much I actually needed her. I can't imagine my life without her. I don't even know what my life was without her. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I feel
it makes me want to have like 2 more.
Now, one thing that I want to be like, I want to bring to the surface in a sense, like on a conscious level. A lot of people say that a baby will change you in certain ways, but I almost feel that I was already headed to, or I was the way I needed to be, like before having the baby, in the sense like she's here now. I know obviously that's, my full responsibility, and I say that proudly. Some people will say that it changed me and made me want to do more. I feel like I was already a person that wanted to do a lot, and I wanted to do more because I knew one day I was going to have, someone that I needed to provide for. So when she's here, of course, every day I'm at work and I'm able to think of her, see her, that boosts me up a lot. Like I'm at work, in the middle of work, when I'm having conversations, I'm like, all right, energize. Like you need to make this work because, now there's someone else that you need to provide for. But definitely, hands down, right?
She's had a hard day
today. Yeah, she's been living rough. I mean, she woke up, she laid down, she pooped,
she ate.
She ate, she laid back down, she fell asleep, and she's here now. So, I can see how it can be stressful for her.
Definitely.
So please, guys, be easy on her. So cool. We hit the 9-month mark. We're 37 weeks, right?
37 weeks.
You've been having some weird situations with your blood pressure.
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've never had blood pressure issues my whole life until I got pregnant, and I didn't even know that was something that could happen. But it was, and it happened to me where I didn't even know. I didn't even know until they checked my blood pressure one day, and they told me that I had high blood pressure. And
you had it.
And I had it, and I didn't really know what to do with it. I felt fine. I felt completely fine. Nothing was wrong with me.
Yeah. So essentially, my brother's a nurse, and we would always kind of just...
A silent killer, he would call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I really had no symptoms.
Some people have high blood pressure but have no symptoms, and because they feel fine, they don't get checked, or they don't, take the necessary steps to fix it or whatever. And people tend to get badly hurt from it, or even essentially pass away. Now, I don't know the mechanics behind it exactly, but, we would check in with Manny my brother every once in a while, and he'd essentially always be monitoring us. And he suggested going to the doctor because that's not normal. So you go to the doctor, right, at 37 weeks.
37 weeks, actually, I had a doctor's appointment, just my weekly,
That's right.
My weekly doctor's appointment.
That
I think I was at that point going every week. I think it was. And I just happened to go. I was supposed to be a quick in and out appointment. Just check, a quick ultrasound, make sure the baby's heartbeat and everything was fine. And they checked my heart or my blood pressure, and they noticed that it was high. So they're like, okay, well, just wait in the lobby a little bit and then we'll check it again. So I waited in the lobby, and they called me in again to check it, and it had gotten even higher. um, and so the nurse tells me, okay, just wait here. The doctor will uh, come see you in a bit. So I waited, and the doctor comes, and he's like, are you nervous or anything? Is everything okay?
Because that could be something else that raises your blood pressure.
Yes. I'm like, no, I'm perfectly fine. But now you're making me nervous since you're talking to me like this. He's like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and send you to the hospital just to monitor your blood pressure. And it does not mean you're going to have the baby. It does not mean that. We just want to, monitor your blood pressure a little bit more. And I was like, okay.
What did you think, though, when he said that? When he said it does not mean
My
that?
heart dropped. I was very stressed. I was very worried. I had gone by myself to that appointment.
Because it was just a checkup.
Because it was just supposed to be a checkup. So
I purposely stayed home.
Okay.
I just want to let you know, because they were like, oh, why didn't you go with her? It's like, it was supposed to be just a
he should have gone, but whatever.
Oh, my God.
But yes, so I drove myself to the, well, no. After he told me that, I was trying so hard to hold back tears because I got really, really nervous. I called my mom. I called
her mom first.
No, I called you first.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure
I just talked to my mom.
Okay.
So you wasted time.
I called my mom, and I was just like looking up at the light, trying not to like tear up and freak out, like looking up at the light, calm down. And my tears just started coming out. I'm like, oh. So I told her, and then she was just trying to calm me down, and it was like, I don't know. I just ended up driving myself to the hospital, and I called you, and you came with tell them how we packed snacks the day before. What day was it?
It was the day before. So I think it was a Wednesday that we got snacks.
Thursday.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right? It really doesn't matter.
So I was trying really hard to be prepared for the hospital, right? Get my hospital bag ready, get snacks, because I heard you need to pack snacks because you're going to be hungry, which I'm glad that I found that out because the snacks were very useful. Where was I going with that?
Yeah, if I may, at some point, if I may, in the podcast episode. No, so the thing is, whenever you told me that the doctor said you need to go to the hospital, they're going to I immediately knew. The thing is, I immediately knew that you were going to deliver that day. I even told my boss, hey, I might be getting out early today because, I'm pretty sure the baby's coming, and, no problem.
And you called Manny.
Yeah. And then I called Manny and said, hey, this is what's going on. They said that she has preeclampsia. I feel like I just butchered that. Was that correct?
I think that's how you say it.
Okay.
Preeclampsia.
And he's like, okay, she's probably going to deliver today because that's similar to what happened to Belle.
Yeah.
Which is his girlfriend at the moment. And same situation. And when they told her to go monitor the blood pressure, she ended up delivering.
Anyway.
Well, hold on a second.
I wasn't done.
I know you weren't. No, but let me catch up to you. So we got snacks the day prior.
Yes.
To prepare for something.
To prepare for in case it were to happen. In case my water broke.
That is correct. In case it happened unexpectedly.
Yes.
But we did not expect it to happen
the next day.
The next day or unexpectedly that quick. But we got phenomenal snacks.
Yeah, we did.
Right? Just to let you guys know the snack selection. Well, first of all, your snack selection is never good. You had goldfish. I had gotten some protein cookies from Kodiak.
Protein bars.
Protein bars.
Protein drinks.
Protein drinks.
Protein chips.
Protein
everything.
Yeah, well, nowadays, if I'm grabbing snacks, I try to make sure they have somewhat of protein in it because they still taste as good. And if you're going to get the benefit of protein as well, then you might as well. So we were able to stock up on some pretty good protein snacks, right? Mm-hmm. I want to see if I can put her like closer to the camera real quick.
You want me to?
Yeah.
She doesn't have a sock on.
Okay, just careful on trip. Hi world. It's been 2 months and I hate it here already. All right, cool. Let's take that pause. Yeah, so we got very good snacks. We were heavily prepared. Um, what then? And then what?
So then so back to when I was still at the doctor's office. I called him and I told him, meet me at the hospital. Or no, I didn't call you yet to meet me at the hospital. I told you that I was going to the hospital. So I went to the hospital and they took me in. They took my vitals and everything. And they checked my blood pressure and they noticed that it was high. And then again, they checked it again later on and it was just shooting up. So they're like, yeah, we're going to have you here overnight. And I was like, okay. So then that's when I called you. I called you and I told you, bring everything, bring the hospital bag, bring the snacks, bring everything. And then you came, you came. I remember you walked in with your glasses all ghetto looking.
And really, I thought I looked good. I literally got ready.
Yeah, you came in walking, with your swag. Like, I don't know. You came in through the sliding doors with your bag in one shoulder.
I looked cool.
And the bag of snacks with the other hand.
You're saying I looked really cool.
You came in. Anyway, we were there. We were waiting for a very long time before they actually called me in into like a little room. Mm-hmm. And they finally they called me in and they're like, okay, you need to change, take off your clothes and just put on your hospital gown. Yeah, and we're going to monitor you. I'm like, okay. So they were monitoring me and still my blood pressure was just going up. And eventually, I'm sure at that point it was my nerves because I had all these people in my room checking on me and making sure I was okay. And it was just making me more nervous. And in that room, they weren't letting you come in with me. So I was even more nervous because I was alone. Eventually, they told me, okay, looks like you're going to have the baby.
And you're like, huh?
I'm like, come again? I'm just 37 weeks. I was thinking that I was going to make it to 40. Did not expect it at all.
Yeah,
did not expect it at all. I remember telling myself, I'm going to go to bed with my hair done and everything because, you never know when it's going to happen if my water breaks unexpectedly or whatever. And I'm going to have all my makeup stuff right there. So if I have to do my makeup really quick, I can do it. None of that happened.
None of it.
The night before, I usually dry my hair and everything. That night I didn't because I was really tired, so it was wet. And I was like, is this really happening? Like, what are the odds? I didn't do my hair. I don't have my makeup done the way I want it. Like, it's not happening how I wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
Like how I envisioned. And yeah.
Yeah, so essentially just to kind of correct one little thing that she said I was saying incorrectly. She said I look ghetto, but I look really cool. Right, so I had my glasses, I had the baby backpack, and I had the snack bag.
You were set.
I was set for however long we needed to be there. So they didn't let me come in, I guess, because of still COVID measures at the time.
It was a small room. It was just like the room before they determine if you're gonna stay there or not.
Yeah, and then but what's funny is that before you told me to go to the hospital, I was already packing everything because my brother said you're gonna deliver. And he told me that before he actually called me. So I was already 2 minutes before I left. So then you got your room.
I was so nervous.
We're in the room. You're not eating anymore, right? Like you haven't eaten for a while?
Yeah, I had.
What was the number that your blood pressure got up to?
Just for
remember.
Reference.
I don't want to say number because I don't want to lie either.
I know it was super high, almost close to 200.
Yeah, it was almost close to 200. I told my brother and he freaked out. He's like, whoa.
Even the doctors were freaking out and it was making me freak out even more.
Yeah. Obviously that's very dangerous. And the craziest part is that you said you weren't feeling anything. That you just felt perfectly fine. That's so scary. That's so scary. You just think about people walk around on a daily basis having high blood pressure and they have no idea. So we're in the room and it goes smooth for the most part, your checkups, and they're checking you and all this and that.
They had me on magnesium to lower my blood pressure.
Right, they got you on magnesium.
A lot of magnesium.
We weren't really aware until later on that the magnesium, obviously whatever they put into your system, that
was going to affect the baby.
That was going to affect the baby. But so what? After 24 hours? No, that's a lie. After a couple of hours, they induce you.
Few hours, they start to induce me. Yeah.
They induce you, so you start having some forceful contractions. You have a nurse in there with you. The doctor as well was with you for like 2 hours straight from like your first contraction.
Oh, when I actually gave birth.
When you were giving birth.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours. It was like a little over 2 hours that I was actually pushing.
Yeah. So
For
labor.
Straight the whole time.
Yeah. So you were laboring for 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
It was intense. As me not even being you, and I'm just watching and trying to be supportive, eat my snacks, right? I'm making sure the snacks don't go bad. We had some dairy products in there, so I had to really, as you're in labor. The doctors were phenomenal, though. You're in labor for 2 hours. You're pushing at the top of your lungs. I mean,
The overall, like, since start
to finish,
to finish, how long was that?
24 hours.
Was it 24 hours?
24 hours.
Are you sure?
I'm 99% sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember, you went in Friday. You had her, like...
I went in Friday. I think they started giving me
I don't even know if I like the timelines.
a cervix softener around, 8 at night?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, they gave it to me like a few hours after. And then I started actually pushing because I had already made it to 10 centimeters the next day at 11. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because you had her at 1. No, you had her at 2.
No, I had her at 2, but I started pushing.
Well, if you did
I have the time.
2 hours.
Oh, the cervix softener was given to me at 3:45 that Friday.
Okay.
And then another one at 8 o'clock at night.
Mm.
And then we waited hours until I dilated up to 9.5 centimeters. And then they gave me Pitocin to get to 10. And then the actual pushing was from 11:40 to 1:58.
Cool. Yeah. So
straight pushing.
How did you feel?
It was the worst.
You say it's the worst, but
I was
what
so
did it
tired.
feel like?
I felt dizzy. I felt like my mouth felt like cotton, super, super dry. I thought I couldn't even, from how much I was pushing, I couldn't even, like, once I was done, it was so hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
Like, just my own saliva. It was pretty intense and the most dry my mouth has ever felt.
And you were doing that on ice chips. Yeah. Like, you didn't have, like, a pre-workout meal to, energize you.
I was exhausted. So exhausted. Just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. It felt longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Eventually, the doctor thought it would be a good idea to get a mirror
in
front of me to, like, motivate me or encourage me. And when they put that, it did not do that at all. It did the opposite. I just told myself, I have been pushing this long. I see myself in the mirror, and it doesn't look like anything's happening there. I'm like, I have pushed that much and that hard for nothing to show. I like, no, get that mirror away from me. Like, yeah. No, I could not look at that mirror. It was making me want to cry more than anything.
And in fairness, that makes total sense. Like, you felt like you've been doing that for so long. Then they show you like nothing's happened. It's like,
nothing was opening.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could see a little bit of the head, but it wasn't like, for how much I was pushing, I really thought the head was already out.
Yeah, no.
It was not. It wasn't even close.
For me, it was just obviously, you were doing a good job. You didn't have, the doctors were doing a phenomenal job with you. I was just simply there to help them with positioning or whatever. But at some point, I saw Khalila's hair. Oh my gosh, when I saw that, like, my heart dropped. I was like, we didn't even know if the baby had hair, like, the whole time. And then when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is really, like, about to be here. And eventually you pushed long enough, and the doctor, I'm trying to think, was all the doctors in there before? Yeah.
They started coming in little by little. I don't know how this happened, or they did it in a way so that I wouldn't freak out. I think they did it on purpose. I don't know how, because I didn't catch anything, because it was just her, the nurse, and you, and then I think like a medical assistant in the back. Yeah. That's all that was there at that moment. And then eventually, like, more nurses were coming in. Another doctor would come in, another nurse, and they were all starting to, like, gather around. And I didn't really think too much about it, but then I'm like,
Well, you were slightly unconscious.
why is there so many people here right now? I don't know. Like something was going on, and
yeah, so you were slightly unconscious, so that's all fair. I was able to see everything. There were a couple of nurses. The doctor delivered Khalila, but when she delivered Khalila, she was a little off. She was
she was
blue,
not responding.
essentially. She was not responding, and like I vividly saw the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck 3 times. It looked like an umbilical cord scarf. Almost like it was like a turtleneck scarf all the way up to.
I didn't get to see that.
And when I saw that, I was like, "Wow!" My heart broke. I don't know, like what that means, how critical that is. Is that if it's not normal, is it that bad, or is that typical? What's how critical it is essentially. And once that happened, there was and I'm gonna mix this up a little bit because I think it was a code blue or a code white. I can't remember that they called, and then when that happened, there was like 7.
But I didn't even hear them make a code.
Like I said, you were unconscious for the most part. I looked over to you, and you were just like, anyways. And then so another set of doctors came in with some more nurses, and then they had like the doctor that delivered you. I literally saw her just like unwrap the cord like really quick. They put her on your belly
for like 1 second,
half a second.
I was freaking out because I didn't hear any cries or anything.
Yeah, the baby was not crying yet. Another nurse intercepted the baby from your stomach immediately, put her on wherever they have the warmth, and then they started like cleaning her, and then they started like doing whatever measures to get her to be responsive. And I'm freaking out because now the whole room is filled with nurses.
I remember you backing up into a
corner. And I kept like
with your eyes getting watery.
And I kept like moving out of the way because what am I gonna do? Even if I want to see the baby, what am I doing besides taking space up? Like they need to be efficient and effective. So I like kept backing up into the corner until like I had nowhere else to go. And then a nurse came up to me. He's like, "Are you the dad? Are you the dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the dad." And then one of the nurses like looked so concerned. Like she looked me in the eye. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like wanting to cry. And I'm like, "Wow." And she's like, "They're doing everything they can. Like I'm sure it's gonna be okay." And all this is like flash happening. I still didn't
know what was happening.
Like everything's flash happening.
I just knew that I couldn't hear her cry.
And I'm like, my eyes are watering. I'm worried. I want to see, but I can't. And then finally they say, "Who's the dad? Who's the dad?" I'm like, "Me." And then like, "Bring him over here." And then I walk over there, and then the baby doctor, the natal doctor, I don't know what it's called. Specifically, he's like, "Here, give me your hand, give me your hand." And he like grabbed my hand, and he's like, "Here," and like made me touch Khalila's hand. Yeah, she's gonna be okay. She's gonna be fine. Yeah. He made me like touch her hands. I see she's okay. She's okay. And I was like, okay, so he backs me up again, and he comes up to me, and he's like, "She's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay, Dad. Like, we got her to respond, but we're gonna take her to the NICU." So yeah, they put her in the little thing to take her upstairs, and
they put her here for like half a second.
Oh, after that, after they made her responsive. I didn't even get
to really look at her. I just felt her for half a second, probably less than that, and then they took her away.
That's correct. So you didn't get to experience that. I didn't get to
actually hold her, see her, enjoy her for 24 hours.
Right, because she went to the NICU.
And they wouldn't let me get up because I was under, the medication, magnesium.
Which could cause seizures. That's why they were being super cautious of you.
Even though they could have made it work, but they didn't.
So they took her to the NICU. I followed her out with the doctors. Everything. They seemed calm, confident. So I got that vibe. They made me wait in a room while they prepared her, and but nothing was for sure. And I called my brother. Hey, he's pumped because he thinks he knows that I just had the baby. "Hey, bro, how's it going?" Right? I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like they're telling me that we just had a code blue or code white, whatever it was, and she was unresponsive. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sure it's gonna be okay." And eventually they walked me to go see her, right, for the first time, and she was in her little it's not a crib, it's a,
I don't know what else to call it. You can call it a crib.
It's like the NICU like crib area, right, under the warmth, and she's like moving around, but she's like hooked up to just so many
And
wires.
you said she was droopy.
Yeah, she was IV'd up, and she was very droopy. She was moving in slow motion because of the magnesium. That's what the doctor said, which is a side effect. And of course, the baby being a baby, she was like blinking real slow. And I'm just like freaking out because, I mean, my first experience, I don't know what a baby's supposed to even look like or move like. But they explained everything and had to keep her in the NICU for 24 hours, and you couldn't see.
He was FaceTiming me.
Yeah, which apparently I wasn't even able to do, and I didn't find out till later. They told me that I wasn't able to FaceTime.
Really?
So the whole time I was FaceTiming you, yeah.
But the nurses were there, and you were FaceTiming me with the nurses.
Yeah,
The
and then
nurses
the
didn't say
doctor
anything?
came later on.
Oh, the doctor said no?
Later on.
Oh, well, I got to see her through video.
Yeah, for 24 hours.
24 hours, I didn't get to hold her.
So I was back and forth between the NICU room and then you, and then, but yeah, they didn't let you out of your room because they were scared you were gonna have a seizure because of the magnesium. And yeah, it was the craziest thing ever when I saw her for the first time. And then finally they were able to bring her back to the room so you could see her.
And
How was that for you?
Hold her for the first time.
How was that for you?
It was very emotional. She was so tiny. She was 5 pounds, 5 ounces.
That's right.
She weighed nothing. She weighed
5 pounds, 5 ounces.
yes, it was just so light. And I saw her and I felt her and just seeing her up close and finally getting to hold her after 24 hours was the best feeling in the world. I mean, I wish it didn't take 24 hours, but I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock. Her skin was just so soft and she just looked perfect, all swaddled up and in my arms. She was perfect.
Yeah. And then 1 second. That's annoying. I didn't know that was in the frame. Yeah. So she came in. I was freaking out in the sense of, okay, the baby's here now. I'm the dad. Like, my brother had a baby 2 months prior to Khalila, which we were able to hold, kind of just quote unquote practice
Holding
a little
her
bit.
made me very nervous. Holding your brother's baby because
It's not your baby.
I guess because it made me nervous. I felt like, oh, what if I'm like that with my own baby? But no, it's completely different when it's your own baby.
How's it different?
You're just more comfortable.
Why do you think you're more comfortable though?
Because it's your own. Imagine something going wrong with somebody else's baby.
Okay, that's fair. So like if you drop your own baby, it's a little.
No, it's not. But you're just more comfortable.
Yeah, no, I know. I agree. I was extremely nervous with my niece, which is her name's Eleanor. But when I was still nervous with Khalila, just a little bit less. But she was so small in my arms. I almost felt like I didn't have like the flexibility to like hold her correctly. But it was awesome. Finally, she's in there. You saw her. Everything was in order. You were still on magnesium. You were still on your drugs. They were trying to lean you off for a little bit.
And then they were trying to get me to pee.
That's right.
Which I didn't know was a thing. Which I don't know why I didn't even think of it, but
You didn't see that like in a TikTok or anything?
I didn't see that in a TikTok. It affects you. Well, every time, I guess, whenever you give birth, they always wait for you to pee before they can let you out. I mean, I'm sure they check other things, but that's one of the things that they check before they discharge you. And I couldn't. So I had to leave with a catheter.
Yeah, they sent you home with a catheter.
Mm-hmm.
And how was that?
It was very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I couldn't fully enjoy the baby because I was just that uncomfortable with the catheter.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like a little small bag. It was a huge bag.
What do they call it?
A Louis Vuitton.
Bro, them doctors are crazy.
Yes.
And then?
So yeah, that was really tough for me. It really affected the way I was with Khalila. Like I felt like I wasn't giving her, I don't know what the word is.
Like giving her the correct attention. You weren't able to cater to her.
Energy.
Provide. Oh, okay.
My energy was just not as good as it should have been because the catheter. I mean, some people would think it's just a catheter, but it really was uncomfortable and just a little bit painful.
Yeah.
Walking around with it made it even more painful, and then just carrying it around. I couldn't wear certain clothes. Like, it was just not what I was expecting. And I tried everything to pee. I tried all these different teas. I tried cold beverages. I tried hot beverages. I tried holding my hand underwater. I tried showering. I tried everything. Everything that they told me to try, I tried.
Yeah. I think you're right, though. Your energy was off, of course. I mean, you wanted to do so much, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
I think, I wasn't aware, but you're right. I mean, you weren't able to give that to Khalila directly. I was, for the most part. Like, I was able to just be okay with her and provide, positive energy while you're trying to recover. But ultimately, you got it removed, right? After 16 days of having a catheter.
So I had a couple or like 3 doctor's appointments where they would go in, take it out, and they, make me drink a bunch of beverages, liquids, to see if I could pee. And I still wasn't able to pee, so they'd have to put it back on. And then again, the second time, the same thing, same process. The third time, again, same thing, same process. And I felt like I was getting depressed. Like, it was just really, really bringing me down that I couldn't function the way I wanted to function.
Yeah.
And then finally, after, I think it was the 4th time, right? 4th?
Yeah, it's like the 4th time.
4th time, I loaded myself up with liquids and I was able to pee.
Yeah,
in the
finally.
Barnes and Noble restroom.
Finally, yeah.
And I cried. I cried. I cried from how happy I was that I was able to pee. And I'm like, oh my God, is this really happening? Like, maybe it was just this one time. Let me drink some more liquids to make sure that I can pee, because I feel like this is too good to be true. Like, maybe I won't be able to pee again.
You were literally already used to the catheter.
Yeah.
Having it for over 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then I drank some more, and then it was very, very, very painful to pee. But I peed.
Good. Because now you're better.
I'm so much better.
Yeah, you feel like you're giving Khalila positive energy?
Yes.
I agree. I feel like you're doing a good job in interacting with her in that way, and I feel like she feels it from both of us. Yeah, so she's 2 months. Okay, so we've been having a blast. Quickly before, we still got about 5 minutes, but about 4 minutes. Quickly, what do you think some, like, things that you've noticed about Khalila that stand out to you the most?
She's growing up so fast. So fast. I feel like it was just yesterday that she was born. But she's more plump now. She's
full.
She's full.
She's been able to
She's
upgrade.
11 pounds now. We just had her 2-month appointment, and she's 11 pounds. She's growing. Everything's healthy with her. Like, I'm just so happy.
She's been able to upgrade from a chin to about 4 chin.
She has like 4 chins. It's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, she's absolutely beautiful.
And she has colored eyes, and I think she's gonna keep them, but you don't think she's
so I know that it's very typical for babies to have very similar eye color when they're born, and then they tend to fade into a different color, whether it be darker or just a different shade of color.
But hers are gonna stay.
That's
I
what
know it.
Yeah, maybe. But nonetheless, regardless of what happens, she's honestly perfect at the moment. She's smiling a lot more.
She smiles, and it really warms my heart.
Yeah, she's been smiling a lot more. We're waiting to essentially be able to hear her laugh.
I'm gonna cry when she giggles for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been having a blast, honestly. Some nights not being able to sleep well enough, but I feel like my body's adjusting to it, which is not a healthy thing, but it's a necessary thing, especially at the beginning of the stages. I think my brother and Belle have been very good in guiding us.
Very helpful. Very
helpful. And we appreciate them. I know they'll never hear this podcast episode, right? But whatever. We do appreciate them.
I feel like we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Too. Like, from leaving the hospital, I remember me and you looking at each other like, are you sure you guys want to discharge us already? Like, we can stay longer.
We almost begged to stay there.
We almost begged to stay there because we
had the nurses.
We were just so scared, and we didn't know what we were doing. But honestly, when people say it'll come naturally to you, it really does. And we've come a long way since then until now. Like, we've really learned a lot, and it's been great.
Right. Both the grandparents are in love. Everybody's in love with her, as we are also in love with my brother's baby. It's a very loving environment and family, and I think honestly, in hindsight, that's the biggest blessing, is being in an environment full of just love. And I think maybe Khalila will see that as normal, which is a good thing, but she won't really see how important it is until she gets much older. And I hope that we can always keep that environment with everyone around her, because I think that's the best just way to do it. Um, yeah. So we are about to go get her ears pierced. Um, Hard decision for me. Very easy decision for the mom. We just got her 2 month shots a couple of days ago.
On Monday, I think.
Yeah, so
Monday.
she went through that pain. There's a video
But she
on
took it like a champ.
there's a video on your TikTok that essentially shows it. It's tough, but she did take it very well. We're gonna get her ears pierced now. Hopefully, she takes that very well, and then whatever comes after that, I'm excited for. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're expecting a baby and pregnant and you're scared, don't be. It's gonna be amazing. Obviously, I wish everyone a healthy pregnancy and delivery. No matter where you are or who you are, but yeah, it's so far it's amazing. I assume it's gonna get better. So if there's nothing else from you on your end, we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay.
Cool. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the episode 37 of the A7E podcast, where we talked a little bit about our journey as a mother and father for the first time to our baby, Khalila Malia Elicerio. It's been a pleasure. If anyone has any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out. Always consider subscribing to the channel, as it helps more than you know. And as always, I'm super grateful. Guys, thank you again for listening to episode 37 of the A7E podcast. This is your host, Jiggadrin. Until next time.